KTAR Breaking News Alert.
This just into the KTAR News Center. Mexico's president announced President Trump's tariffs on the country have been paused for 1 month after new leaders spoke on the phone this morning. As part of the deal, a reported 10,000 Mexico troops will be placed at the border to reinforce it. This according to a post by President Sheinbaum on X. Once again, the tariffs on Mexico have been paused for a month, according to Mexico's president, in exchange for 10,000 Mexican troops being sent to the U.S.-Mexico border.
All right, you heard it in the breaking news. The Mexican president has announced that they have cut a deal with the United States for a 30-day pause on tariffs, and they are going to send 10,000 Mexican troops to their northern border, the U.S. southern border, and they will be doing this to stop the importation of trafficking of fentanyl into the U.S. That is big news, and this is what the hope is for the tariff negotiations in which President Trump is known for. Using the power of the U.S. economy to say to nations, you're not doing the right thing, you're not being fair, let's get to the table and let's talk. The president is scheduled to speak with China and with Canada, and hopefully we're going to get similar results. I have scheduled to talk about here is some of the other things the DOGE is doing, the Department of Government Efficiency, but I do think this is worth talking about for a few moments. Nobody's perfect. People make mistakes. But it is my hope that this is what the tariff conversation is about. Hey, listen, you're not being fair to us. We are going to get your attention because we can hurt you too. We don't want to. We'd rather not do this. The tariffs are scheduled to go into effect tomorrow morning on Tuesday. So now Mexico has said, all right, we'll pause for 30 days. We will send 10,000 troops. So now you've got the United States sending military to the border in a support role as far as we know now. We have the uptick of response from ICE and from Border Patrol, more attention being paid to the criminal elements in this country. But what's happening on the border is also something that is important in sending a message. Tom Homan, I want you to listen to what Tom Homan had to say, what the results have been so far with border incursions.
We're down 93%. 93%. That's a bigger decrease than under the first Trump administration. So look, I said it, President Trump is a game changer.
So Tom Homan says border crossings are down 93% in the first few days of the Trump administration, first week or so of the Trump administration. So now and when you look at what's happened in the past, with what's happened at the border, we have had CBP and Border Patrol agents are not doing the enforcement part of their jobs. They were doing processing. They were processing people for asylum claims. Millions of people came here with the app that was used to schedule asylum claims. Now there's more of a focus on enforcement. So now when you have illegal crossings down by 93%, you now have the ability for CBP and for ICE and for Border Patrol to focus on the criminal element. When you have the U.S. military on the American side of the border, the Mexican military on the southern side of our border, on the northern part of their border, we now have a message being sent. This is not going to be an easy fight. This is not going to happen overnight. The cartels are not going to say, okay, we get the message and we're going to stop. But this does send that message. So now you start with people that would come here by hiring the cartels, the coyotes, to mule people into this country. It slows down the human trafficking, and now the focus can be on the drug trafficking. So we're going to get into more of this as the show goes on. Keep it locked here for the breaking news. And by the way, as I always say, it's a great time to download the KTAR News app because you'll be notified. These big stories, you get notified by KTAR on the news app. You can read the stories or hear what's going on if it's something on the air. It's just a great way to keep up with breaking news. It's really the only news app I have on my phone. So I want to talk about some of the things that are happening with the DOGE, and that's the Department of Government Efficiency. Elon Musk is going after Treasury handouts. He said that they are fraudulent Treasury payments He said reports circulated that the Department of Government Efficiency has gained access to federal government's payment systems. So the DOGE team discovered, among other things, payment approval officers at Treasury were instructed always to approve payments, even to known fraudulent or terrorist groups. They literally never denied a payment in their entire career, not even once. This is according to Elon Musk. So there's a couple of approaches here that are happening simultaneously. One is an aggressive approach at government spending, which I don't know many Americans that would disagree with that. We would disagree, Republicans and Democrats would disagree on how much the government should be involved in. What is a federal government responsibility? I'll give you an example. I believe that charity begins at home. And what I mean by that is you and I should be responsible with our own discretionary income to invest in charitable organizations, nonprofit organizations that are doing excellent things. I talk about my affinity for St. Mary's Food Bank, for St. Vincent de Paul, with their Angels on Call program at St. Vincent de Paul, where you can get on a list and you can say to be on that list, I have a couple of $100 I can donate if you need it, when you need it. I can give 500, I can give 1,000, whatever it is you're available to do. And when they have a specific need, trying to keep someone in a home, they can't pay their rent, they can't pay their electric bill, they would call you when your name comes up on that list, and they would say, in the past, you've said you're willing to donate $200. Well, we have a need. Are you able today to donate $200? And you say, sure. That you give them the debit card number or whatever, and the donation is made. Or you say, right now, I'm in a bind myself, I can't. They say, no problem. You go back down to the bottom of the list. They go to the next name on the list. Those are the charitable organizations and programs that I believe where it starts at home. And if there's going to be charitable giving and involvement in charitable giving by the government, food assistance programs, which I think are valuable and necessary for families, rent assistance programs, Section 8 housing, those programs I think are best overseen and implemented locally. It's the local jurisdictions that understand the severity of the problems, the cause of the problems, and can verify, validate the needs, and they're the ones that can keep out fraud because they're on top of it. A federal program has a tough time with all 50 states. So there are other people that believe the government shouldn't be involved in that at all. There are others that believe that that's the government's job. That's the political differences. We all should agree if there's fraudulent and wasteful spending, if you've got people that are working for these agencies, if you say that there are people that are working in the federal government whose job it is to approve payments, and they've never denied one payment in their entire career, they're not doing their job. We've been having a big discussion in our society here in Arizona about the voucher program, about the ESA program. And it's really funny. You know who agrees with me on what I'm saying? The people against the ESAs. Because they will tell you there's a lot of fraud, there's a lot of misuse that's happening in this. There are people that are buying things that are not education related, and they shouldn't be allowed to buy those things. I agree with you, but this goes for every government program. Shine the light on everything. It doesn't matter if it's food assistance, if it's rent assistance, if there are people out there being fraudulent. And these bigger payments to NGOs, which are non-governmental organizations like USAID, where you've got millions and millions and millions of dollars in programs that keep getting renewed through continuing resolutions, you and I are spending billions of dollars that we don't have because we're $36 trillion in debt. If this works, if they are able to, with the Department of Government Efficiency, expose waste and redundancy in federal workers that aren't doing their jobs, we didn't even get into the buyout of federal workers that don't want to do what's necessary to keep their jobs.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Catch up on Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast, and click the button in the middle to subscribe.